don't take into account the question of energy. And when we present these arguments, people are reacting extremely positively.
Next question, Stephen Chase, Globe and Mail.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. I'm just wondering, does Mr. Trudeau have a chance to talk to Mr. Trump today? Because in the White House press conference, the White House spokesman said that Mr. Trudeau should be talking to Mr. Trump.
I know that they've been in communication. This is a question that you should ask directly to the Prime Minister's office. The information I've had is the White House and the Prime Minister's office have been in contact indeed.
You mean today?
Including today indeed.
And will you announce tomorrow the retaliatory tariffs if this goes ahead? Or will there be a 2-week waiting period for consultations?
So what I said, and you heard Dominic LeBlanc saying it, and you've heard many of us saying it, the Prime Minister as well, should there be tariffs imposed, we will be ready day one. And we said also that there would be a first round of measures, a second round of measures, and a third round of measures. And so we will continue to make sure that we have a strong plan, and we'll keep ourselves also some leverage should there be, of course, tariffs imposed. We think that these would be, of course, unjustified tariffs, and that's why, of course, we would have a strong response.
Piper, Global.
Ministers, thanks for taking my questions. To start off, does the government believe that tariffs are 100% coming tomorrow, or is there any possibility we won't see tariffs come in place tomorrow?
Jillian, I wish I could answer that question, but the reality is we have yet seen a piece of paper declaring that, and of course President Trump has made many different declarations, which we take very seriously, and that's why we're working on it and at it, and that's why also David and Mark are here in Washington, and I've been here also for 3 days. But fundamentally, this is a question that you should ask President Trump yourself.
I wish I could. And for my follow-up, Minister Miller, I'll direct this one directly to you. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Perrin Beatty says Canada is in a fact-free zone right now dealing with Trump on tariffs. Do you agree with that characterization, that facts are not important right now?
Well, look, Jillian, I think the reality of today's meetings are such that Canadians expect us to try. These tariffs could be crippling for our economy, just as our response will be damaging to the U.S. The U.S. has mentioned its concern with the border security, fentanyl, the immigration system. And so for Canadians, as frustrating as it can be seen that these things may be seen to be done in vain, we absolutely have to try. And I understand the sentiment that people feel that this might be useless. I think it isn't. The border, regardless of tariffs, is very important to our national security on both sides of the border. The U.S., and we've made this quite clear, over the last 10 years has been a net exporter of asylum seekers to Canada. Doesn't mean that we don't have our own challenges are on our side. And if we want to make sure our southern border is properly secured, we need to work with the U.S. because there's 400,000 people that travel and transit across every day. Part of that makes our presence here important because we have to communicate that to the U.S., a country that is very focused on the Mexico border. But we also have to make clear that we have our interests to protect and that we're willing to work with the U.S. on what they see as some of the frustrations with our immigration system. And I've spent the last 18 months making sure that our immigration system is sustainable and is one that we can be proud of, while tightening some screws that we've had to do through a number of policy adjustments, including the imposition of visa on Mexico, changing some policies, making the system more rigorous. That is bearing fruit, but we have to prosecute that case with some folks that are threatening a tariff. So facts or fact-free, we certainly have to communicate reality to Americans and to President Trump and his administration.
Okay, we have 2 people left on the list at the moment. Prochaine question, Mélanie Marquis, La Presse.
Merci. L'intention de M. Trump d'imposer des tarifs de 10% au lieu de 25% au pétrole, au gaz naturel, est-ce que c'est le fruit d'un compromis dans le sens où est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous avez négocié avec lui?
Non, nous avons négocié aucune forme de tarif. Absolument pas.
OK. Puis, la porte-parole, un peu plus tôt de la Maison-Blanche, Caroline Leavitt, disait que c'était à partir de demain que les tarifs entreraient en vigueur. Là, on est le 31, 18h29. Comment est-ce que des entreprises et des citoyens peuvent réconcilier la version qu'on vous entend dire puis la version de la Maison-Blanche?
Mais en fait, le gouvernement canadien a réagi à ce que le président va faire concrètement, au-delà de ses déclarations. Lorsqu'il signe un décret, lorsqu'il prend action, qu'il prend une décision concrète, à ce moment-là, on peut réagir. Pour l'instant, on entend beaucoup de paroles, mais il n'y a pas eu d'action. Mais ça ne veut pas dire qu'on ne le prend pas au sérieux. Et donc, puisqu'on le prend au sérieux, on parle à son entourage, on parle aussi des preneurs de décisions très, très, très importants, influents, pour faire en sorte de présenter nos arguments, mais expliquer à quel point les Américains vont souffrir des tarifs qui seraient imposés par le président Trump sur le Canada. Pourquoi? Parce que nécessairement, le Canada, nous, on va répondre, et on va répondre de façon féroce. Alors, on va être prêt le jour 1. Et entre-temps, ce que je dirais aux entreprises et à monsieur, madame, tout le monde qui nous regarde, c'est que c'est le temps de se tenir haut et fort ensemble.
Question, Stephanie Taylor, National Post.
Hi, Ministers. Thanks for your time.
Thank you,
At this point, do you believe this issue of 25% tariffs is actually about border concerns, migration, and fentanyl?
So we asked a bit that question. You answered it, Mark.
We don't believe it is, Stephanie. We need to convince the Americans that it isn't. And so that's part of the reason we're here. We went into these meetings with no guarantees, and we certainly can't guarantee that to Canadians tonight, but I think Canadians want us to make that effort. We know the challenges that we face with our southern border, with the U.S.'s northern border. It is a concern. We need to hear them out. But we also have to make it clear to the Americans that we have our challenges with the way they are working the border and making sure that our case is being heard quite clearly from them. The facts, I believe, do set you free, and the facts that we expose to the Americans today, I think, are important in the discussions that Mr. Trump will be briefed on, notably the reduction of 89% of people moving from the north to the south today. I think that's very important and should register in people's minds, as well as the work that we need to do on a daily basis to make that border secure. I'll leave that security aspect up to David, though, for that part of the answer, Stephanie.
Go ahead, Dave.
Stephanie, I think that it's important for us to be here simply to share the extensive nature, the details of the plan that we're putting in force and have put in force on the border. And it's interesting talking to different legislators, different actors, as Melanie was mentioning, Minister Julie was saying there are different folks we're interfacing with, and they don't know much about what we're doing on the border. And so the more time we spend encouraging them to understand and to bring them up to speed, the more beneficial it's becoming. The more they are saying, oh my gosh, we didn't realize. So these efforts we're making here are very much to sensitize, build relationship, and build a fact-based ground on which to grow. And so we think the last several days have been very successful in that regard.
Yeah, indeed.
I suppose for my follow-up, what is your understanding of what President Trump will, in fact, be briefed on? I understand you've spoken to Mr. Homan today, Mr. Rubio. What exactly is your understanding, or what's your sense of how much that you've communicated will actually be relayed to the president himself?
Well, we've presented definitely a lot of information to Tom Homan. I've had the chance with the Secretary of State to talk about our border plan, to exchange more information, to explain that less than 1% of the fentanyl that is coming into the U.S. comes from Canada, less than 1% of illegal migrants that are coming into the U.S. are coming from Canada, that are on our side. Also, we have a fentanyl crisis, and we want to save lives together, and this is a common interest that we work together on this. And I think we got some positive feedback from different meetings we had. So I think it is worth it. I think that the president has had information in the past regarding our border plan. We'll be receiving more information based on all the meetings we've had, all of us.
You want to save lives? Deport. Stop the drugs. Lives saved. People are shooting people. People are killing people. 300,000 people overdosed on drugs last year. Enough with this shit. Close the border. Stop with the drugs. Deport. Like and subscribe, everybody. God bless. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one, my friends.